The team has been working very hard over the past few months with our consultants, KLSA, and those individuals being led by Ms. Hannah Lee, who is going to be presenting to you all today. The team, both staff and the community, have all come together both in virtual settings, in-person settings, surveys, and we're going to be able to review that feedback today. So we're excited to get an update from Ms. Hannah Lee, and I will pass it to her so she can get started. Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, it's very good to see you all again. I first want to start off by saying thank you to you all for your engagement in this process so far. The last time we all met together was at the leadership workshop back in January, but since then we've individually interviewed each of you. Some of you have also had the opportunity to join us at the public meetings that we've had in the community. And then also I wanted to thank you all who have helped set up interviews and focus groups in our community with specific community groups. So thank you so much for that. I also wanted to thank you for the time and the opportunity to share the great work that a lot of the people behind me have done. It is my honor to be able to present that to you today. This was totally working. Okay. All right. So the purpose of our discussion today is threefold. So first, we want to review our progress to date. Second, we'd like to provide a summary of the community engagement, which we know is very important to you all. And then third, we wanted to validate the direction of our strategic plan. For the next hour, this is what the board workshop is going to look like. So first, we're going to update on progress to date. Then we're going to go back and review the 7 strategic goals that we developed in January. Then we're going to understand our constituents' key concerns today and priorities for 2045, after which we will connect those to provide key objectives and outcomes for 2045. After that, we'll gather feedback from the board, and then we'll go into some next steps. So just to set some rules of engagement on what's expected from the board today, a large portion of this workshop today is informational, but you should feel free to ask questions when you want to. That said, at the end of the presentation, there's dedicated time for you to answer questions or ask questions about the presentation. Okay. All right, so first the progress update. So you might recall this strategic planning framework that we used back in January, the pyramid in the top right-hand corner. So it starts with our values, which is our the things that we hold dear to us that we're trying to strive for. And then supporting that is our vision, which is our North Star, our mission, which is our purpose, underpinned by our strategic goals, our strategic objectives, and the key actions and activities and KPIs and metrics that we would do to measure our progress. So the reason why this progress update starts in 2022 is because the development of this pyramid started in 2022. So our values and our mission, those were developed in 2022. We built on that in January of this year, which you all were a part of, to develop the vision and the strategic goals. After that, in March, we began the community engagement phase, which ran for 4 months in total. In April of this year, our technical advisory committee was stood up and began drafting strategic objectives and has updated it continuously since then. In June, our technical advisory began drafting metrics and KPIs aligned to our objectives. And then at the end of June, our community engagement phase ended. And that brings us to today, July, where you all are reviewing our progress on the overall strategic plan, and we're focusing on the output or the result of the community engagement and what strategic objectives that we have landed on. So just to make sure that we all are starting from the same page, we wanted to revisit our 45 strategic goals, which we developed in January of this year. So these are not in order of importance. The numbering is just for ease of reference. But number 1 is foster the well-being and safety of all. 2 is on the service delivery, so deliver standardized, financially efficient, and responsive services. Number 3 is on the talent that delivers those services, so that's cultivate, retain, and empower the region's top talent. Number 4 is in our infrastructure, build reliable, modern, and sustainable infrastructure. 5 is on business and economic development, and this is to position Henry County as the self-sustaining economic hub in the metro region. 6 is on building the bridge between the government and its constituents, and this is to strengthen public trust, awareness, and understanding across multiple generations. And then the last on this list is about government collaboration, and it's to enhance inter and intra-governmental communication, collaboration, and coordination for continuous improvement. The reason why we wanted to start with the strategic goals is because the strategic objectives all align back to a specific strategic goal. So you will see these referenced later on in the presentation. Okay, that gets us to strategic objectives development. So we're kind of going a little bit backward, but the output, so the strategic objective, how we got there is on the right side. But on the left side are the inputs of what actually went into getting there. So what are the inputs? Those are on the left side. The first thing was what's existing? What existing documentation do we have? And that was the existing strategic plans across all the departments. The other thing that we factored in were external considerations. So for example, AI was part of the discussion informing our strategic objectives. And then third, and probably most importantly to you all, was community engagement. Community engagement was a huge component that informed what the strategic objectives would be, and that included feedback from, of course, our community, Henry County staff, businesses, the cities within Henry County, and of course you yourself, the board, also contributed to that feedback. So that input was put through kind of an engine of people who processed all that information and synthesized it in order to get to a set of strategic objectives. And so that group of people included the county manager's office, their executive directors, and the technical advisory committee. And this group has dedicated numerous hours, pretty much weekly, I would say for 3 months out of the last 4 months. So we're really grateful for the effort and the care and attention that they put into developing what we're going to show you today. The output of all the analysis that was done is on the right side. So what the strategic objectives are intended to do is to tie together the existing plans. We also want to provide an adaptable framework to respond to externalities. And then 3, we want to combine and reflect the most pressing needs and wants of the community within our strategic objectives. Okay. The other thing that we wanted to address was, if you recall, back in March, we spoke with each one of you and we asked you specifically about community engagement. These were some of the themes that came out of those discussions. This body wanted to ensure that there was engagement across all areas of the county. You wanted to ensure a broad range of stakeholders, including community groups, municipal partners, and businesses. You wanted us to ensure that there were in-person meetings hosted. You wanted meetings held in a variety of community spaces. You requested that we schedule meetings in the evenings to provide maximum participation. And then for the survey, there was advice to keep the survey concise and easy to complete, and to structure the survey to categorize issues and allow feedback on common concerns. So how this feedback was interpreted into outreach and participation is on our next page. So This is an at a glance of our community engagement over the past 3 months. So in the past 3 months, we have individually interviewed over 110 community members, and that included a representative sample of residents, municipal groups, business, and staff. We also hosted 6 in-person public meetings across all 5 districts, and those were hosted at senior centers or rec centers that were centrally located to the districts. We had over 1,000 survey responses. We had over 2 months of active outreach through online and physical channels. So we distributed paper materials at all of the county facilities. We also had a lot of digital channel advertising as well. At the public meetings, we had over 90 participants, and those were very active participants, as you all probably witnessed from the ones that you attended. We had over 50 social media posts on the strategic plan. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see we had around 40 Henry County staff involved in strategic plan governance meetings on a weekly or biweekly basis. We also tabled and met people directly in places where they go. And we reached over 500 people directly at senior centers, rec centers, and at the Echo Park Speedway event. And then last but not least, we also established the 2045 Henry County Strategic Plan website with the help of the communications team, so thank you so much to that team. But that's another way that our constituents can interact with us and understand about this plan. Okay, that gets us to what exactly were the results of the community engagement. So first we wanted to start with the survey, and this was the survey response by city. The total number of responses was 1,076. And those responses spanned across McDonough, Stockbridge, Hampton, Locust Grove, and Ellenwood. There was an other section because we opened the survey up to folks who live, work, and play here. So some folks do not live here, but they work here, and so that's what comprises other. We asked a question in the survey: what 3 words best describe Henry County today? And 919 people responded to this. And the bigger words indicate that these were more commonly used words as one of those 3 to describe the county today. So I don't think any of the large words on here are going to come as a surprise to any one of you. But growing, congested, crowded, traffic, overcrowded, those themes of growth and the downstream impacts of growth, those are on this page. Kind of in tandem to that, we did ask a question on which one of the following describes their top concerns or pain points in the county, and we asked them to choose up to 3. Unsurprisingly, traffic congestion and transportation options came to the top. Infrastructure was next, followed by transparency in government. On the flip side, we also asked about strengths. So in what areas do you feel Henry County has made progress or shown strength? Select all that apply. And at the top, we have parks and recreation amenities, attracting new business, public safety and first responder services. And then just to make sure that you all know, number 4 was strong and diverse county leadership, which I feel like this group should be proud of. And the reason why this is important is because while strategic plans are supposed to address concerns and pain points, you also want to sometimes double down on your strengths as well to make sure that those continue to shine as some of your strengths if those are areas that you feel are a priority. All right. The next question was on priorities for the future. So based on the county's vision to become a vibrant, innovative, connected, and exceptional place, which of the following should be top priorities? Select all that apply. And in the top 3, we have Again, high quality infrastructure and transportation. Second was well-being and public safety for all. And third was environmental sustainability and green space. I'm going to go ahead and add the next one as well, educational innovation, youth engagement, just because there wasn't that much difference between the third and fourth slots, but these are the community priorities that bubbled up to the top as folks looked forward. The next two slides are about public input on what would make for a successful county and what would make you stay in Henry County. So there were 815 responses here, and there were 6 general thematic elements that came back within those responses. The first was on improving traffic flow and road conditions. So we have here the overall theme, a representative quote from one of the open text responses, and then we have an elaboration of what that theme means, and then we have specific items that came up multiple times within the feedback in the open text responses. So again, improve traffic flow and road conditions. 2 was on balancing growth with infrastructure capacity, so promoting that sustainable growth. And then 3 was on keeping the community safe and respectful, making sure that we have places where we feel like we're safe and respected, whether that's in public spaces or neighborhoods or schools, etc. The other thing that we wanted to point out was that all of these themes, they do align very well with goals that we've already developed. So the pulse that this body had on what the community would want, that is very well aligned with the goals. So the first one, for example, improving traffic flow, that would align directly to build reliable, modern, and sustainable infrastructure. 2 would also align to that goal. And then 3 would align to foster the well-being and safety of all. As we move to the second set of themes, so 4, 5, and 6, so 4 was on strengthening community and civic amenities, so making sure that we have places of connections where people can gather and create community. Number 5 was on addressing property taxes and government transparency. Folks want to understand a little bit more how decisions are made. I think this body also understands the need for opportunity for folks to understand civics a little bit better as well. And number 6 was on fostering a community people want to stay in. So this really relates to overall quality of life, that live, work, play environment. All of those align to this particular theme. And then similarly, these 3 also align very well with goals that we already have. So number 4 would align with foster the well-being and safety of all. Number 5 would align with the strengthen public trust goal. And number 6 would also align with foster the well-being and safety of all. The next piece that we have, we shift away from the survey and we shift to the results of the public meetings. So we had 6 public meetings across the county, and there were around 90 participants in total across those meetings. This slide summarizes what came out of those public meetings. So for every meeting, we asked the participants that attended to rank the goals or choose which 3 goals were their top priority. And then, we aggregated the results, and we show here what the top 3 priorities were. So I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that every goal was selected in each one of the meetings, but there were some that were selected more times than others, and those are the ones that are represented on this page. So as you can see, there were very common priorities in the community. So number 1, foster the well-being and safety of all, was chosen as one of the top 3 for every single meeting. Similarly, strengthen public trust, awareness, and understanding across multiple generations was also chosen as one of the top 3 across all of them except for D2. And then number 4, build reliable, modern, and sustainable infrastructure, was chosen by all except for 1. That was D5. And then the one that was chosen the most after those 3 is the 5th goal on business. So positioning Henry County as the self-sustaining economic hub in the metro region. Beneath this, for those top 3 that were chosen, so the number 1, number 4, and number 6, we have some of the specific details that folks wrote for what those particular goals meant to them at that meeting. So if you recall at the public meetings, we asked people to write down, what some of these goals meant to them. And so these were some of the representative results from that Post-it note exercise. So for example, for number 1, there's no community without safety. For the 4th goal on infrastructure, sustainability is the key, although this person wrote about sustainability holistically from a fiscal, environmental, and population standpoint. And then for number 6, on public trust, when the community trusts, we take better care of our community and one another. So these are just some things that we thought were good representations of what came out of each goal across all counties. The next thing we wanted to go through was commissioner key themes. So we did talk to each one of you back in March, and these were some themes that came out across all of our conversations. So this isn't in any particular order, but the first one we have here is on the importance of planned development and growth. And then dovetailing with that are the next 2. So ensuring that both infrastructure and services catch up with current growth. On the services side, it came up specifically for public safety. That was a extra additional note there. The next 2 are, building that bridge between the government and its constituents. So addressing the challenges of effectively engaging our broader community to make sure that we're building trust there. And then, bridging communication and efficiency gaps with the county and other municipal government entities, because we all serve together the constituency here. The next is on addressing affordable housing, followed by better leveraging modern technology to deliver quality service, and then helping residents understand civics and how different aspects of government are related. The next slide has more specific items that came from commissioner interviews. So we have it divided up into 6 general areas. So the first is on traffic and infrastructure, and there were specific asks from commissioners that these items be included in the strategic plan in some form. So maintain partnerships with our state and federal partners. I think also municipal partners would fall in there. Diversifying our transportation options, developing our infrastructure sustainably to catch up with our growth. If we move to public safety, there were a couple here on aligning our public safety services to our growth rate, and then continuing to expand on parks and recreation beyond sports. The next set of themes was on community engagement and government trust. So there were specific requests that we'd like to improve everyday communication channels between the government and its constituents, and to provide follow-up channels for specific service areas. So for example, with like C-Click Fix or something like that, providing specific follow-up channels there. The next set of themes was on housing and healthcare. Multiple commissioners said that we need to get a second hospital. There was also a lot of talk on developing affordable housing options for vulnerable constituent groups. I think every commissioner talked about community education, but there was agreement on making sure that we provide education on how government works, how constituents can participate, and how decisions are made. And then second, helping the public understand key government functions and how they're all connected and how they're a system. For example, budgeting, tax collection, planning and zoning, etc. And then the last set of themes are overarching, so it didn't really fall into a single bucket, but one was on creating those cycle of life, live, work, play communities, and the second was on our services, so continuing financial stewardship through the routine assessment of department responsibilities and needs. I'm going to drink some water real quick. All right, so next we're going to move into the questions that we consider for strategic objectives, and how this all flows together is all of that information. So everything that you've heard till this point was on the results of the community engagement. So all of that, plus these questions, was how we came to get to the strategic objectives. So these were questions that were considered in getting to the objectives. So what is within our particular span of control? What can we do within our current capacity and our current budget? The next items that we considered were on quality of life. So what raises the quality of life for the most people? What raises quality of life for the most in need? And then on the flip side of that, to protect quality of life, what mitigates the biggest risk to quality of life? And then 7, and this is for alignment purposes, what goal is this objective most aligned to? Because as we know, these goals kind of overlap in terms of what outcomes they can result in, because government's our system, but we need to track objectives aligned to only one goal versus multiple. I'm going to go through 2 quick examples on this, and then we're going to go into the questions period where you all can provide feedback. But this is the high-level objectives and align outcomes for number 1. The 2nd through 7th goals are all in the appendix for your review, but we're going to go through 1 from this one and 1 from number 6, because those were the 2 that came up the most often in the public meetings as the highest priority goals. So for number 1, foster the well-being and safety of all, an example objective was to attract and support more healthcare providers to serve communities. So the wording on this was specific. And the genesis of this came from not only the commissioner's feedback, but also from public meetings. This was also in the community survey. It came back in that survey as well. So while the county can't, build a hospital per se, what we can do is we can try to attract a healthcare provider, and we can support those providers in trying to develop those types of businesses here. So that objective would align to a specific outcome, which is to ensure that all citizens have accessible physical and mental health care diagnosis and support. And these outcomes and objectives are both aligned to a set of metrics and KPIs, which you can also review, although those aren't included in this packet, but those can be provided to you should you want to review them. So I'm going to review one more, and that's on number 6. And that's on strengthening public trust, awareness, and understanding across multiple generations. So the first objective that we have is to strengthen our public education on county responsibilities, operations, and services via educational outreach. And this is going to be done through setting up a community education program in parts and through other initiatives. But the aligned outcomes would be to increase civic engagement. Like what outcome would we want from strengthening public education? We'd want to increase civic engagement to ensure constituents understand how to affect change via government. So those are just 2 examples, and the rest are comprehensively there for you to review and provide feedback at your leisure. But with that, I'm going to go back to the feedback questions that we had for you all as the board. So our first question is on community engagement, and that is, do the results of the community engagement align with your expectations? So I'll pause there.
Yes, ma'am. I do think community engagements do align with expectations. I think they're spot on.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
absolutely, and thank you for
Okay.
your hard work, because I know this, y'all put a lot of time into
Group
this.
behind me, they've really done. a lot
Yes,
of work,
ma'am.
So thank you so
But
much.
yes, I do think that they're
Thank you.
spot on with their engagement alignment with the expectation of the county.
Great.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I also echo what my colleague stated, because we had a lot of public safety who live in the community that were engaged, was able to allow their voices to be heard as well. Some of our judicial, officers that live in the community, they attended, so I just want to say publicly to thank them for being engaged and everything that you all put together to bring that, to the forefront, because they were able to actually say the things that you have listed, because I noticed when you did your diagram, I think, go back to the check, let me get to it. It's per district with the checks.
Oh, yes. Am I going the right way? I think so.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
So right there, it kind of helped me to be able to see, like with number 6, making sure that we're out front and bringing all of this to them,
right.
so they can feel involved in the process. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you, because you did an outstanding job with your presentation and giving them the allotted time to be able to speak, so.
Thank you so much.
So thank you all for the time you took with us. Thank you for the time you took with the public. The next part of the process, to me, that's the most important, is the first steps of the implementation. What are we to
Absolutely.
do as far as implementing that? I think everybody hears me say all the time, no plan is a plan, it's just a failing one. So as everybody knows, with what I do outside of here, planning is extremely important. So thank you all for what y'all have done.
Thank you.
Yeah, once again, thank you. You've been very good throughout this entire process already. No surprises what we got from the community engagement part. I think it does align with our expectations, and specifically my expectations. Just talking to the residents, all the time at District 5. It's interesting when you look at the chart,
Yes.
and it says build reliable, modern, and sustainable infrastructure, and you see D5 doesn't have it on there, because I've made it a point for the past few years to make sure that that is front and foremost. So I think the residents are confident that we are addressing that in District 5. So, I know, it's kind of surprising when you pull this up. Especially the part about strengthening public trust, awareness, and understanding across multiple generations. I expected to hear that, because I think we need to do a better job of that. I know specifically when we talked, I talked to you about communication, especially from the government
Yes.
side, about making sure
I recall
that we
that.
have a medium that effectively
Reaches.
Yep. all levels. Even provided some examples from some of the other community governors
that
nearby
newsletter, I
do a
remember
great
that.
job. So,
Yep.
I think if we can implement some of those things, we can address a lot of these areas that the community has brought to attention. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you all for the work that you've done. Since January, you all have hit the ground running, and you have been down here late evenings, engaging with the community. And so I just want to thank you for the presentation that you shared with us today, and again, giving us the feedback from the multiple meetings that you've had with the constituents here in Erie County. So again, thank you all, again, for the sacrifices that you have made. Traffic from here to there, because I know you all had a long drive, but thank you for the time and commitment that you've taken to ensure that we have an effective strategic plan for our county.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your help with setting up certain interviews. We appreciated that so much from you
Yes, ma'am.
in your preparation.
Yes.
Yes, Chair?
I echo my colleagues.
Okay. Thank you. Did we want to move to the next question? Okay, all right. The next question is, what specific outcomes or priorities would you like to ensure we focus on as we draft the plan? As you know, there are many priorities. They might vary a little bit by district, but also the county's not a monolith. And so we want to make sure that we factor in the different perspectives from the different communities, especially from your seat, because you see quite a breadth from where you sit.
Commissioner Price?
I would like to see us focus more on the communication piece. There are a lot of things that we as constituents sometimes may not understand. I didn't understand it as a constituent until I got the seat and went through training, that there are things that we are bound by or governed by through the Constitution of the state of Georgia. And sometimes people think that we as a county are just doing what we want to do, when in reality we are abiding by the Constitution of the state of Georgia. The fact that there are some things that we do have home rule that we can do, but then there are some things that are still operated under what is called Dillon's rule, which means the state of Georgia, kind of dictates how we do what we do. And so sometimes we don't understand. We think that there's just 6 people sitting up here making decisions for people
Right.
because of what they want, and not understanding that there are some legal things that they've got to abide by as well. So I think the education part and communication of that process with the constituents would help give a better understanding of why sometimes decisions are made.
Absolutely. I would say also from our municipal interviews specifically, so that's, city mayor, city managers, they echoed that as well, because as leaders, of their cities, there are some misconceptions on, what is within span of control, what's not, what might be someone else's responsibility or accountability versus what you collaborate on, things of that nature. So yes, your feedback's well taken. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm actually going to echo exactly what Commissioner Price stated. So the priority that I have, and I've stated that to you before, was strictly about communication, just
Right.
making sure that, residents are able to understand, the types of decisions that we are capable of making,
Exactly.
what goes into those decisions, specifically what you just stated about span of control, and also what is a local decision, what is a state decision, what is a federal
Right.
government decision,
Yeah.
how does that tie into what we do on a local level? Specifically, there are a few things that have come up recently. We started talking about investor-owned properties and things of that nature, making
Okay.
sure residents understand what we do here on a local level, and what we are able to affect.
Right. Like,
And
what can you
even-
control?
and even want to go a little further, talk about some of our local authorities. When you start talking about the water authority, some of the other entities that we
Right.
deal with who have their own spans of control that we
Exactly.
collaborate with.
Right.
Sometimes people, lambast us about stuff. They'll talk to us
Yeah.
about Board of Education issues, or they'll
Right.
talk to us about water issues,
Yep.
knowing that we don't actually dictate what
Or
happens
make
in
decisions
those
there.
things. But if we can educate the public and say, hey, this is what the process is, this is what the totality is, then they can better understand what it is that they can do to help effectuate the outcomes that they want. Because we're up here to represent everyone. That's what we're up here.
Right.
Sometimes people don't. Sometimes people come to us and they say, well, I want this to happen, and if that doesn't happen, then they say, okay, well, you're not listening. Not understanding that we listen to everyone.
Everybody.
We don't just
Right.
listen to one particular group.
Right.
If you only listen to one particular group, then you're doing a bad job. So just going back to what Commissioner Price stated, communication, I think, it is crucial, and continuous communication.
Certainly.
It is very hard, and people live busy lives. And
Right.
so only communicating to them once a month, I don't think that's enough. If
Right.
you have a weekly, something that they can tap into that comes to them, you know, just on their smartphone, whatever, they can see it and say, okay, I understand what that is. So,
Yeah, because that'll definitely help with the transparency and the trust piece so that they know who to engage
Exactly.
with to affect change for a certain decision, so they know
Exactly.
who controls that decision.
because that builds public trust. Because
Exactly.
they say, oh,
Yeah.
you know, you're being transparent. You're
Yeah.
telling me exactly.
Where to participate, where my
Exactly.
voice needs to be heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that drives everything. So.
Yep, agreed.
Mr. Dang.
As I say, on the results that y'all got, I think, is making sure the infrastructure's there. As for District 3 specifically, I know it's a concern for the entire county, but I think to echo what they're saying is how do we communicate our current T-SPLOS, our SPLOS programs,
Right.
so that they can hear what the success that we're having with the hard work the staff's doing. So I think that needs to be explained because it creates that communication, it creates that trust. But what other avenues do we need to be looking at for our infrastructure? Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you.
I would like to look at what the overall outcome will be. I'm looking at the strategic goals where it says, you know, again, as everyone has stated, strengthening public trust. But I would like to see, with the communication piece, we're always stating that for as we want to empower and be in the region's top talent, right? So how do we get there?
Right.
We can actually do some things here, live sessions. I would like to see more within our cities because people don't know if they're, you know, they're in the county, unincorporated, or the cities. They don't know fire services if it's the county or the cities. As my colleagues have stated, I mean, you know, we have to educate the public, right?
Right.
So I would like to see some roundtables that we can get to as the local government with just the county and the cities, as well as bringing in our public safety, so that way they can have their voices. So if we can, to me, I would like to see the goal of trying to focus on a plan to meet more often, because even on the region level, we're able to identify certain things when I think we can bring that back home and identify what we have here on the local level. So if
Right.
that's something that we can put together, that to me would be a plan. And then if we have it live on our Facebook, then our constituents can chime in and be able to view those meetings just as they're able to view this one as well. So it's different areas that we can reach them with the transparency. It's just a matter of doing the plan to get there. Because all of this is, you know, we have all this is on paper, right? But people are busy, you know, we have, so I'm just looking at things that we can do to ensure that we're making sure that everyone understands what jurisdiction is responsible for this and what jurisdiction is responsible for that.
Right.
So I would like to see a lot of collaboration between all local governments here in County.
I think this, from the city mayor's discussions, they were echoing, you know, exactly what you're saying. And I do think that they are willing to come to the table and participate. It's about creating the opportunities to do that. So, and you know, clearly we can't accomplish everything for everyone
Right.
in the span of time. So that partnership is going to be so important. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with everything the colleagues were saying. Of course, the public safety is something that this board works on continuously growing and make sure that we keep our public safe infrastructure. I think everyone here is trying, and we do probably the best job, I think, that we can do with infrastructure with all the funding we have through T-SPLOS and GDOT dollars, and there's a lot of projects going on. And I think Commissioner Robinson hit on with as far as the public concerns is they really don't see city limits in unincorporated.
Right.
They see the county as a whole, and if we could get with the cities and have those discussions to make sure everybody's on the same page. But
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, they, in those city mayor discussions, they mentioned that exact point on constituents not knowing, you know, who to go to, whether they were in city limits, whether they were unincorporated, they have no concept of that, so.
But we do represent the people in the cities
Absolutely.
as well. So
Absolutely.
that's,
Yeah.
So what all my colleagues say, especially on the education piece. I think it's important that people understand the process. I think that that is a lot of frustration that our constituents have because they don't understand the process. And if we could make it accessible and simple for them to be able to get that information and understand the process. For example, when we talk about infrastructure, infrastructure is number one, you know, because we are so far behind on the infrastructure. And I know that all of us work hard and diligently trying to make sure that we secure funding from the appropriate, whether it's state, federal, you know, we're working hard to try to secure that funding. And then, you know, our constituents, our citizens vote for SPLOST and T-SPLOST. Without those programs, we would not be able to do the work that we're currently doing. So those programs are very important, and I think that them understanding the importance of why we have to have that.
Right.
But it is a process because it has taken 2 years for us to just do right-of-way acquisition on Jonesboro Road. And it's not a simple, we
Right.
vote for SPLOST today, and
you see the
Jonesboro
result
Road is going to
tomorrow.
be widened
It doesn't
tomorrow.
work like that. Yeah.
It is a process, and I think that being able to communicate that, because when you look at Jonesboro Road and all of the people that own, I don't know how many partials, Rocky, who's it? 94 partials. And see, Commissioner, I know that he knows that, you know, and so.
You do trivia?
Trying to have to acquire that right-of-way acquisition to do the expansion, it takes time. And so, and money. Yeah, it takes
Right.
time and money. And so, I think just being able to understand the government process is not, you know, we vote today and tomorrow it's going to happen, you know.
Yep.
And so that is important. I know that our communications team was doing podcasts, you know, and so I would like to maybe see a little bit more of those that we can do on maybe specific topics that we can share with the public. And then, as Commissioner Wilson says, public safety. We have to continue to invest in public safety. And so, SPLOST helps us to be able to do that because we're able to build, you know, whether it's fire station or
stations.
police precincts or whatever it is, and then buy the equipment that's needed. These programs are important, and if our constituents are saying that safety is one of the number one factors for them, then, you know, these are the resources that we use to help make that happen. And then quality of life and amenities, you know, continue to invest in our parks and recreation, so that, you know, people will have places to go, the trails and, you know, bicycle, you know, just being, for people be able to have things to do. And so, but I think that being able to take our constituents on this journey with us
Right.
is the key. You know, as we go through this, we would like for them to come along with us. And so
Right.
that way we can do this together
Absolutely.
as a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So our last question is kind of open to you all. If you have any specific questions or concerns that you'd like us to address about the project to date or where we're going.
Commissioner Wilson, we'll start with you.
No, ma'am, you've done such a good job with this. I think you've addressed everything I have, so.
Well, thank you on behalf of everybody who's worked on this. They've done a wonderful job.
Commissioner Robin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the top priorities that you
Yes.
had, I noticed where it says top community priorities, number 4, number 4. It basically stated the educational innovation and youth engagement. Would love to see or receive some support surrounding that.
Okay.
Because we did have several young people that attended, I know when I did the
Yes.
District 2 one, and the concern was there. So just for everyone to know, we have several different organizations within the county. The cities, they have their youth councils, and then we have Youth Leadership Henry. But a lot of them, when it comes to the county, I know with Madam Chair, we're working on trying to do a county youth commission, because we've brought back some things from NACO, which is the National Association of County Commissioners. So we're looking at doing that as well to make sure that our public safety, as far as our sheriff's department, police department, fire department, all of our entities to be able to chime in each district commissioner, so we can have representatives. So if there's something that you can, because that was a top priority,
Yeah.
that we can work together with.
Okay.
Because we want to bring in our youth, even allowing
Absolutely.
them to intern, because, and educate them, because those are our future leaders. So these are some things that we're going to be working on, and if we can have your assistance to help guide us as well. I mean, I started the youth council in Stockbridge, but of course, now the county, it's a bit different, on a whole different level. So if we can get your input to help with that, that would be great as well.
Okay, we can
Yeah.
certainly do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd just like to ask for this timeline, are we on schedule to
Yes.
complete?
You're one step ahead. It's on the next page.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I have.
Okay.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. All right. So to address Commissioner Price's question, this is what's next. So the plan drafting is underway, as you can observe in the packet, but the initial draft will be prepared by the end of August. We're going to have a period for feedback and final comments all throughout September. In September, we'll integrate any feedback and final comments. If that bleeds into October, that's okay. But the target for adoption and approval is October in order to implement for 2026. So there's a little bit of buffer there at the end of the year as well.
Any questions or comments?
Okay. In the appendix of this package are the remainder of the objectives and aligned outcomes for your review. And if there are no more questions, then I'll just thank the board for your time today and for the opportunity to allow me to present on behalf of this wonderful group of county folks. So thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
If I may interrupt for 1 second, I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge some of the technical advisory committee members that have joined us today. If you are part of that TAC team in the audience, please stand. This is the group of individuals. Yeah. As you are reviewing those objectives and outcomes, this is the team that has met continuously, spent hours and hours in this room working to develop those. So most of the work done by all of the groups together were done by those individuals representing all departments, judicial centers. So great job, team. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you all. Anything else, Kevin? Stephanie?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. This meeting is adjourned.